Hi, my name is Sarah from the American Independence Museum in Exeter, New Hampshire. For this month's Revolutionary Storytime, we will be reading A Ben of All Trades, the Most Inventive Boyhood of Benjamin Franklin. Written by Micheal J. Rosen, illustrated by Matt Tavers. This month's story takes us back to the childhood of Benjamin Franklin, where we learn that even as kids, you have the chance to shape and build your future, to explore and learn and discover new things that eventually will lead you to great and wonderful things. No matter how old you are, you have the power to change the world, just as Benjamin Franklin did. So follow us as we go back and discover Benjamin Franklin as a child. Hide not your talents, they for use were made. What's a sundial in the shade? From Poor Richard's Almanac, 1750. What did Benjamin Franklin love about books? Each one was nothing like the other. What did Benjamin not love about making candles? Each one was, in every way, like others. He measured wicks, melted tallow, and thickened each candle, dipping, 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 daydreaming. His father desperately needed to find his son a trade that suited his talents. But practicing swimming strokes, endlessly reading, all Benjamin desired was to be a sailor. All he appeared to be was an aimless wool gatherer. Lately, the boy was obsessed with the art of swimming, a book from his father's library. In the light of his own hands' identical candles, he had studied every stroke. Neck deep in Naked and Mill Pond, Benjamin gripped 2 wooden paddles he'd carved. 10, 9, 8, his sister Lydia counted down. Go! Gulping air, Benjamin bounded forward, whirling his arms. His paddles spanked and tugged the water beneath him. Whap, whoosh, whap, whoosh. His kicking churned a bubbly wake. Lifting his head, he sucked in air again. Whap, whoosh, whap, whoosh. Finally, at the dock, he spun around. 40 seconds, Lydia exclaimed. Twice as fast! At supper, a very excited Benjamin presented his fins. Thumbs go in these holes, he slipped on the paddles. They afford your hands the mightiest power. Quite inventive, truly, his father Josiah pronounced. But no, my answer's still no. Father, I'd be a superb sailor. The sea has shown no benevolence to our family, Josiah said. Besides, candles are something people always need. I fear my mind is unsuited for the craft, sir. Benjamin begged Lydia and his friend John Collins to join him at the pond. What's that? John called to Benjamin as he waved his friend's shirt overhead. Swimming neither on back nor belly. Now what's that? Swimming with the left foot and right hand. But why? Shouted Lydia. Should a leg suffer a cramp? I'm prepared. This week, Josiah announced at breakfast, you shall apprentice with a joiner. Mind you, Benjamin, a trade needn't be to your liking, but perhaps joinery will engage your restlessness. The hours at the joiner's were like treading water for Benjamin. They exhausted him, and yet he never moved from the same position at the workbench. Even by the 3rd day, he doubted that he could last to the week's end. When Josiah arrived to retrieve his son, he found Benjamin sanding a timber peg, both knees straddling a bucket brimming with identical pegs. Following the Charles River toward home, Josiah still sought a clear answer from his son. What say you of joinery, Benjamin? I fear it is not for me. Sanding and drilling and fitting the same joints over and over is hardly agreeable. But a seaman? If only you'd let me. You know my answer, and yet you ask. I will find you a trade, lest you play the truant and run to the sea. When the path bent toward the shoreline, Benjamin grinned. Father, might I show you what I've practiced? He stripped, waded into the river, tied his ankles together with his belt, and plunged beneath the surface. Half a minute later, his head popped up, his arms swept in half circles, all but his shoulders held above the water. Your legs, you've yoked them? Josiah asked. Yes, it's called to swim with legs tied. Ludicrous. logical, in case weeds ever tangle my legs. Come out of that filthy water at once. The following week, Benjamin apprenticed with a boot closer. But sewing together the uppers of the shoe after shoe after shoe, Benjamin had no penchant for that. The same was true of the turner's trade the following week, chiseling wood into smooth dowels, one dowel exactly like the one before. When Josiah came to collect his son, he could see Benjamin's forlorn face. Nothing suits, son. Nothing. You do realize daydreaming won't provide a living. I don't aim to disappoint, sir. The two walked without speaking until they approached the river. Father, I've learned the leap of the goat. It's the feat that shows true mastery of the swimming arts. If you must demonstrate, then you must. Benjamin raced toward the water, floating on his back, chest inflated. He thrashed his arms against the sun-bright ripples until his feet fluttered inches above the river. Josiah applauded. Benjamin dressed. The two walked home in silence. The next day, strong winds lashed Boston, and Benjamin spent his free hours fashioning a kite. One especially gusty afternoon, he enlisted Lydia and John to accompany him to Mill Pond. Holding a stick with spooled string, Benjamin set off running. Need help? You can barely hold it, shouted John. It's pulling you. The paper diamond volleyed back and forth, west to east, as if it were uncertain as to which direction was up. Suddenly, another of Benjamin's ideas snatched the moment. He tethered the kite string around a stake, stripped, and shouted, I'm going in! Shoulders deep and kite in hand, Benjamin called, Won't you take my clothes, John, to the opposite bank? Unfurling the spool, the wind harnessed the kite, jolted Benjamin onto his back, and towed him, zigzagging across the pond within a minute, far faster than ever his strongest stroke. Such power, and from nothing but air, Lydia exclaimed. Single file on the deer hoof-stamped trail that encircled the pond, Lydia, John, and Benjamin wended the paths towards home. His hair still dripping, his arms hugging the sodden kite, Benjamin met Josiah outside the house. What is to come of this, Benjamin? You devote your hours to swimming, now with a kite no less, and yet you dismiss every trade you're offered. I have no affinity for those, Father. It's true, yet that time was hardly ill spent. I've kept all that I acquired. The kite's frame I chiseled smooth because I learned that from the turner. The joint holes and pegs, the joiner taught me. The paper itself I painted with our tallow, Father, so the kite would float. I see, Josiah said. And from the boot closer, I knew to lace the kite to its frame. Dry and in fresh clothes, Benjamin found Josiah in the library preparing his decision. So, neither joiner, nor boot closer, neither turner, nor chandler. You're a Benjamin of all trades. Is that your desire? No, I don't know. My straightest desire is to be aboard. Son of mine, I will not see another Franklin lost to sea. I fear there's no alternative but for you to sign the indentures with your brother James. You'll be a journeyman at his print shop. And there, perhaps, you will read and study and write to the contentment of your heart. I will endeavor to do so, said Benjamin, but I do wish his shop were seaworthy. It came to be that Benjamin did love printing. Not one of the pieces he produced was anything like the one before, or the hundreds that followed. From the age of 12 to 21, Benjamin not only mastered all aspects of the press, but he also began to write his own verses and articles for pamphlets that he printed himself. He started a newspaper. He published an annual almanac, as well as over his lifetime volumes of essays, journals, articles, humor pieces, political opinions, and an autobiography. From his roots as a reader and a wool gatherer, Benjamin blossomed into the roles of inventor, ambassador, political leader, journalist, editor, college president, scientist, and postmaster. Not one job was exactly like the one before, but he excelled at each career by applying the diverse knowledge he'd gained and the insightful curiosity that seemed insatiable. To learn more about today's story and for some hands-on activities, please visit our website, www.independencemuseum.org.